So you all are welcome for this very interesting session today. And today we're going to be focusing on an introduction to design. And we see design to mean the planning or specifications which represent an idea or an object. Because most of the times as human beings, you always have those thoughts, you have those ideas in your mind, and you're finding ways to be able to express your ideas. It begins with a sketch. You want to be able to plan on how to execute your ideas. For example, someone thought, okay, if I could, hey, why is it that when rain is falling on the car, why can't we have something that will wipe the car? And this started in Europe some very many years back when a lady saw somebody had to park his car, came down from the car and used his hand to clean the glass of the car. And it formed that semicircle of the glass of the car. And he was like, okay, what if we produce something that we can control automatically to keep doing that? And you know the car wiper, right? What wipes the glass of the car? You know that?
Yes, sir.
Amazing. So he said, okay, why can't we have that and to be able to do the car cleaning automatically? And then from there, he was able to sketch something. Most probably the first time it didn't work perfectly as planned, but he tried another sketch and came up with several sketches. And finally, the design of what was intended was finally gotten. So design actually refers to a plan or specification which represents an idea or an object. So you might want to represent your idea, you sketch it down. You might want to represent an object, you sketch it down. But remember, every object that starts with a thought begins with an idea, okay? So if you're thinking of an object, then you must first have the idea. For example, the idea of the tallest structure on Earth, the Burj Khalifa, you realize that that was just like they cut the moon into 4 halves, and that was the structure. They cut the moon into 4 halves, and then one of those quadrants they represented it as the Burj Khalifa, the world's fantasy of architecture today. So you want to it always begins with an idea. It always begins with an idea, and once you have those ideas right, then you can be able to have the design right. And then one other thing you want to know about design is that design is a communication language. For example, in Cameroon, we have two languages, right? Uh, in Cameroon, we have two languages, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for example, if you want to call a pen, how a pen in English is a pen, right?
Yes, sir.
In French, how you call a pen?
Big.
Okay, in English, pen, in French, big or stylo, right? And when
Yes.
so, but you realize that if you can go and tell somebody that you need a pen, and the person is maybe in Yaoundé and the person doesn't understand what a pen is, or someone in Yaoundé might come to Boya and tell someone that you need big or stylo. The person will not understand what stylo is. That's true, right?
Yes, sir.
But what if you have a design on paper and you show the person that you need this? No matter where the person is, the person will know that that's a pen you're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
For example, when I came here, there were many things that I wasn't very fan of. For example, the first time I went to do my chin, like to clean my chin, they did it since they were not very used to shaving blacks, and so when they did my chin, they realized I realized bombs began coming out. So when I went to the pharmacy to purchase something to do my chin, they didn't know exactly what it was all about. So I said, okay, if I was in Cameroon, this was what I would use. I opened on the internet and I showed them the design of what I would use, and they said, okay, we have something that could do that, and they brought it out. So design is an international communication language. Okay, design is a communication
Yes,
language. It breaks the language barriers. It's a technical communication language that engineers use. So sometimes you are in a room with people who do not basically understand the language you use, and all you have to do is to present your idea on a design and show it to them, and everything goes on smoothly. While I was growing up as a young student at the Kalik University Institute of Boya, I realized when we went for internship, some of my friends had to work in stadiums with Chinese constructors, and they didn't understand anything about Chinese. What brought them together was the designs that were on paper. So it was not just all about what someone was saying, but it was all about what was represented on paper. So if you have it straight on paper, then everybody understands it clearly. But if design is a language, just the way in English you have languages, and in English language you have punctuations, right? Hello, guys. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I was saying in English language you have punctuations, right?
Yes, sir.
Amazing. So if you have punctuations in English language, that would mean that if you want to do another, if it means other languages should have their own kind of rules. Okay.
Sir, we cannot get you clearly.
You can't get me. Hello. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Yes, can you guys get me? Can you get me now? Hello.
Sir, we can't get clearly.
Hello, guys. Can you get me now? We're saying that design is an international communication language and it helps to break limiting barriers of language. But you know, in English language, we have punctuations, right?
Yes, sir.
Which helps us to be able to understand the language easier. And in the same way, in design, we have elements. So in English, we have punctuations. In design, we have elements that helps us to communicate our designs effectively as a technical language. Because I want you guys to see design as a communication language. So whenever you're designing something, mostly when we go into the practical designs, because you're going to start designing cars, you're going to start designing structures, ships, aircraft, and stuff like that. So I want you to see it as a communication language. So whenever you're designing, you're telling somebody something. Are we together? And
Yes.
once you see design like that, it becomes easier. So, but in order to do it effectively as a communication language, you must understand that there are basic rules that you must be able to follow. And I believe that we'll be able to manage that effectively. And let's see how it goes. So let's move forward to the next slide, which
Yes,
well,
sir.
yeah, so yeah, we're going to be looking at the background of design. And the most important thing I want you to know about the background of design is that in Greek, design is called schedio. And schedio means to design, to draw, to sketch, to plan, like to make specifications available to represent an idea. So that's the meaning of schedio, of design in Greek. It means schedio, just like technology means technologia, design is schedio. And from there, we proceed, and we move forward to our next slide, where,
Yes, sir.
yeah, and on our next slide, we'll be looking at the different elements of design. So just like I said, in English language, we have punctuations that helps us to communicate our designs effectively and easily and conveniently. Because imagine you're reading a whole book and there's no full stop. It means from the start to the end, you're not taking a breath, right?
Yes, sir.
So, but you need to be able to communicate effectively in a way that people can understand. So they introduce the full stops, they introduce the exclamation marks, they introduce all those things. So in the same way, that's how designing too is done. There are elements that help you to communicate your design effectively, easily, and conveniently. Repeat after me. Elements of design help you to communicate effectively,
Elements of design help you to communicate effectively,
easily,
easily,
and conveniently.
and conveniently.
Exactly. So you must be able to communicate your design effectively, like following all the standards, such that you'll not send your design to someone maybe in Madagascar or in the United States of America, and the person is like, "Okay, what does this really mean?" So there are standards that you must be able to follow to effectively communicate your design, and it must be easily, like someone should not have to stress to be able to read or interpret your design, and it must be done conveniently in a way that does not discomfort you and stuff like that. And also we'll just look at 10 of those elements of design, and we're going to look at them more detailedly as time unfolds. So number one that we're going to look at is the line. There is a way lines are done in design. For example, if I'm to draw this earpiece, there's a way I'll have to represent this earpiece in a way that if someone looks at the design, they'll be able to produce this earpiece in the factory just the way it is. So and there's a way you use lines to be able to communicate that. For example, if I'm drawing this earpiece, then this portion which is most forward that you can see has to be bolder than the portion that is behind that you can't see. Then the portion that is on top has to be represented with dotted lines since it's hidden behind and you cannot see it. So there are different ways that you use lines to communicate your design effectively. Another very important element of design is the color. You must be able to use color to explain your design most effectively. For example, wood is brown, stone is black, and you want to use all those standard colors that help you to communicate your designs most effectively. And another thing is the shape. So there are different kinds of shapes. When you draw a circular shape, someone should see it and be able to know that, okay, this thing is circular, and oh, this is a square, this is it. So the different shapes that are involved and stuff like that. So in this session of design and technology, we're going to mainly focus on shapes, because if you master the basics of shapes, then all the others will just fall into place, because everything that exists actually is a combination of one or more shapes. And so if you can be able to effectively master shapes, then you're one step up in your design game and stuff like that. And next is the texture of the design. How does it feel? What are the constituents? What makes up that particular object? So you must be able to represent it on your design. And then the typography, that means how the words that you use on the design, you must be able to make them standard and stuff like that. And also the scale of the design. Okay, if on paper I'm representing this to mean this dimension, then in real life it means this dimension. I'm sure most of the times you have seen people say, okay, this thing was drawn on a scale of 1:50. Have you ever heard that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the scale and that's how it applies. And so which means that every 1 centimeter on this paper means 50 meters on ground in real life. So you must be able to represent that so that people can be able to implement your designs in real life. And also now the dominance and the emphasis, which is what I just spoke about, how you can be able to make some things bolder than the others, to place emphasis on some points and less emphasis on some points, and then also to create a balance in your design and to ensure harmony. So those are more advanced areas in design and technology, which we're going to look at them as we proceed. But just like I said, in our sessions, we're going to focus mainly on the shape, on different kinds of shapes that makes up designs. Are we good to go?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after all of those, we're going to have a little intellectual stimulation. And the basic exercise I want you guys to do for the intellectual stimulation is to list and explain the uses, functions, or importance of the 10 elements of design listed above. So research on them and just tell me the use. Why is this important in design? Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you understand the question perfectly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I expect that you do that, and then the second question is to brainstorm with your team members in your base group and list 5 applications of design in the world. So this second question, you're going to do it as a team. The first question, you're going to do it individually, and you're going to present this second question in class next week, Wednesday, while this first one, you're going to submit it on the online platform. Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Good. So, yeah, that'll basically be it for our session of today. And so we're going